Ever gotten close to like achieving a big goal, only to feel this like weird resistance holding you back?
Yeah.
Like almost as if succeeding is the asked thing your brain wants.
Right.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into that very feeling.
Okay.
Fear of success.
Fear of success. Yeah.
And trust me, it's more common than you might think.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we often hear about the fear of failure.
Right.
But this kind of like flip side can be just as powerful, often without us even realizing it.
Exactly. We're diving into some fascinating insights from That's Life 24/7.
Okay.
An article that really unpacks this whole idea.
Okay.
And get this, it's not about actually wanting to fail.
Right.
Rather, all the anxieties that get tangled up with the thought of success.
And those anxieties are more widespread than we might assume.
Right.
A Harvard study found that 70% of people experience some degree of fear of success.
70%.
Let that sink in for a second. 70%.
Wow. 70% is a staggering number.
It is.
It really makes you wonder about the untapped potential out there.
Yeah.
All these incredible things people could achieve if they weren't held back by this fear.
Absolutely.
Right.
And what's tricky is how often this fear disguises itself.
Okay.
It's not always obvious. We might not even recognize it as fear.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Sure.
What are some of the sneaky ways this fear of success shows up in our lives?
Well, think about a time you've been stuck procrastinating.
Yes.
That big project you kept putting off, even though you knew you had the skills to tackle it.
Oh, yeah.
There's a good chance fear was whispering doubts in your ear.
Ugh, I know that feeling all too well.
Right.
It's like this invisible force field goes up, and suddenly even the smallest task feels insurmountable.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Or consider the times we sabotage ourselves without even realizing it.
Oh, yeah.
Setting unrealistically high goals. So we're almost guaranteed to fall short.
Right.
Or that constant negative self-talk, chipping away at our confidence.
Yeah.
These can all be manifestations of fear disguised as something else.
So it's like our own minds are working against us, trying to protect us from this perceived threat of success.
Yeah.
Even if we don't consciously see it that way.
Exactly.
Right.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
This fear can even creep into our relationships.
Interesting.
Have you ever felt a pang of jealousy at a friend's achievements?
Oh, sure.
Or maybe found yourself avoiding people who inspire you.
Yeah.
Because their success makes you uncomfortable.
Wow. I never really connected those things to fear of success before. But it makes so much sense.
It does.
It's like some part of us feels safer sticking with the familiar, even if it means staying stuck.
It's a very human response.
Right,
but
right.
to understand it better, we need to dig into the root causes.
Okay.
Why are we so afraid of success in the first place? The article delves into some of the psychological explanations.
Okay.
And, it's not just about being weak or afraid of hard work.
Right.
Often, these fears stem from valid places.
That's a fascinating point. It's like our brains are trying to protect us, even if it holds us back in the long run. So it's not always irrational, right? There could be real reasons behind it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Our past experiences play a huge role.
Okay.
Imagine, for instance,
Okay.
landing what you thought was your dream job, only to realize you're completely unprepared for the workload.
Oh, yeah.
You're working late, feeling stressed, and doubting your abilities. That experience, even though it might have led to growth eventually, could easily create a subconscious link between success and those negative emotions.
So even if we succeed on paper, if it's associated with burnout, stress, or self-doubt, our brains might start waving red flags the next time we're on a similar path.
Right.
Wow.
And then there's the ever-present imposter syndrome.
Yes.
That nagging feeling of being a fraud, of not deserving success.
Yeah.
It's that voice that whispers.
Right.
They're going to find out I'm not actually good at this.
Right.
Even when you're exceeding expectations.
It's like waiting for the other shoe to drop, even when things are going well.
Yes.
That constant fear of being found out must be exhausting.
Absolutely.
Right.
And on top of that, we have to factor in a more fundamental fear, the fear of change itself.
Right.
Success, by its very nature, disrupts the familiar.
Right.
It pushes us out of our comfort zones, even if those changes are ultimately positive.
Right.
And for many of us, that uncertainty can be incredibly anxiety-provoking.
It's so true. change can be scary, even when it's good change. Even when it's good change. Yeah.
Precisely. And when you layer on these other fears, past negative experiences of imposter syndrome, the fear of the unknown, it's no wonder so many people hit an invisible wall on their path to success.
It makes sense, but it's also kind of disheartening, right? Knowing all this is going on in our subconscious, how do we even begin to overcome it?
Right.
It feels like we're battling our own brains sometimes.
It's a valid concern, but the good news is that we're not powerless.
Okay.
The That's Life 24/7 article actually offers some really practical tools and strategies to help us break through this fear barrier.
Okay.
One of the most powerful concepts they highlight is the importance of shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
Okay, so remind us again, how exactly are those two mindsets different?
Sure. A fixed mindset sees our abilities as pretty much set in stone. You're either naturally talented at something or you're not.
Right.
And this mindset often leads to fear of failure because if you don't succeed, it must mean you're simply not good enough.
Oof, that's a recipe for self-doubt, for sure. So how does a growth mindset change the game?
With a growth mindset, you believe that your abilities can be developed through hard work, dedication.
Yeah.
Learning from your mistakes and being open to new experiences.
Right.
Failure becomes less of a threat and more of a stepping stone.
Okay.
It's all part of the learning process.
I love that failure is a stepping stone. So with a growth mindset, we're not as scared to try new things or push ourselves outside our comfort zone.
Right.
Because even if we stumble, we know it's an opportunity to learn and grow.
Exactly. The article emphasizes that this shift in mindset is crucial for tackling the fear of success when you believe you can grow and improve.
Right.
Setbacks become less daunting, and the pressure to be perfect from the get-go starts to fade.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be works in progress, which is honestly such a relief to hear.
It really is liberating.
Yeah.
And the article doesn't just stop at defining the problem and the mindset shift.
Right.
It provides some really tangible tools
Yeah.
to help us cultivate this growth mindset and move past the fear.
Yes. Tell us more about these tools. I'm ready to put them into action.
Well, one of the most popular techniques they discuss is the use of positive affirmations.
Okay.
You've probably heard of these before.
Right.
But they can be surprisingly powerful when used correctly.
Okay, I'll admit, I've always been a bit skeptical of affirmations. They can sound so cheesy.
Right.
But I'm open to being convinced.
I get it. It's not just about repeating empty phrases.
Right.
The key is to choose affirmations that resonate with you personally.
Okay.
And to really try to internalize the message instead of focusing on what you don't want.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to mess this up.
Right.
Try reframing it with a positive statement.
Okay.
Like, I am capable of learning and growing from this experience.
I am capable. Okay, I can already feel that one shifting something in my thinking.
Right.
It's about replacing those negative thought patterns with empowering ones, right?
Exactly. It's like training your brain to focus on the positive possibilities instead of getting stuck in a loop of fear and doubt.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of rewiring our brains, I've also heard a lot about visualization techniques as a way to combat fear.
Do those actually work?
They absolutely can.
Okay.
The article talks about the power of using all your senses to create a vivid mental picture of yourself succeeding.
Okay.
Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself achieving that big goal we talked about earlier.
Oh.
What do you see? What do you hear? How do you feel?
Okay, I'm doing it. It's interesting because as I visualize myself succeeding, I can almost feel the tension draining away. It's like my brain is getting a sneak peek of what's possible and starting to believe it. That's exactly it. Visualization isn't about denying the fear.
Right.
It's about acknowledging it and then choosing to focus on a more empowering outcome.
So we've got affirmations to rewire our thoughts and visualization to create a positive mental picture.
Right.
What other tools does the article recommend?
Well, it also touches on the importance of mindfulness and meditation as powerful allies in managing fear and anxiety.
Okay, I can see how those practices could help us stay present and grounded, especially when those fear-based thoughts start to spiral.
Exactly. Even a few minutes each day of focused breathing or a guided meditation can make a world of difference. It's about creating space between our thoughts and emotions and learning to observe them without getting swept away.
It's amazing how these simple practices can have such a profound impact on our mental state.
They really can. And the best part is these tools work together synergistically as you start incorporating affirmations, visualization, and mindfulness into your routine.
Right.
You're essentially creating a multi-pronged approach to dismantling fear at its core.
It's like we're building a toolkit for success.
Yeah.
Equipping ourselves with the mental and emotional resources to navigate those inevitable challenges.
Exactly. And speaking of navigating challenges,
right,
the article doesn't just leave us hanging.
Right.
Once we've achieved a certain level of success, it also emphasizes the importance of sustaining that success over the long term.
That's such a crucial point.
Right.
It's one thing to overcome an initial fear and achieve a goal.
Right.
But how do we maintain that momentum?
Right.
And avoid getting tripped up by fear again in the future?
Well, the article highlights several key strategies for sustaining success.
So,
one of the most important is setting realistic expectations.
Okay.
Both for ourselves and for the journey ahead.
Right.
It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others.
Right.
Or buying into the myth of overnight success. But the reality is that true lasting success is often a gradual process.
It's about celebrating the small wins along the way.
Yes.
And recognizing that setbacks are not failures. They're just part of the journey.
Precisely. The article also stresses the importance
Okay.
of prioritizing self-care.
Right.
And maintaining a healthy work-life balance.
Yeah.
When we're burnt out and exhausted,
Right.
it's much easier for fear and self-doubt to creep back in.
So it's not just about working harder
Right.
or pushing ourselves to the limit. It's about working smarter.
Yes.
And creating a sustainable rhythm for success.
Exactly. And finally, the article encourages us to cultivate a mindset of continuous learning and growth.
Right.
The more we embrace new experiences, expand our knowledge, and refine our skills, the more confident and resilient we become in the face of challenges.
It's about becoming lifelong learners.
Yes.
Always seeking out new information and perspectives to help us evolve, both personally and professionally.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like we're constantly leveling up, equipping ourselves with the tools and knowledge to navigate whatever life throws our way.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. We've explored the hidden ways fear of success can sabotage us, delved into its psychological roots, and most importantly, uncovered a treasure trove of practical tools and strategies to overcome it.
We've really covered a lot of ground today, but before we wrap up, I think it's important to remember that fear is a natural human emotion. It's okay to feel afraid.
Right.
What matters is that we don't let fear paralyze us.
That's such a powerful reminder. And we've seen today that we don't have to let fear control us.
Right.
By shifting our mindset, adopting empowering habits, and building a supportive toolkit.
Yes.
We can move forward with confidence and embrace the incredible opportunities that come with success.
Absolutely. So as you go about your day,
maybe reflect on which of these fear-busting tactics resonated most with you.
Okay.
Was it the growth mindset, positive affirmations, visualization?
Right.
Pick one and give it a try this week. You might be amazed at what you can achieve when you face your fears head on.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of fear and success. Remember, you've got this.